are back at it again as we continue to bring you the highlights of the Tobago Heritage Festival 2022. Of course, one of the biggest annual events on the island's calendar. Last week we came to you from Charlottesville's Natural Treasures Day. This week we're here in the scenic northern village of Moriah for the colorful Moriah Old Time Wedding. Now this festival is one of the most talked about festivals in the world. It draws people from near and far, and this year it's no different. The Tobago Heritage Festival was created to preserve the cultural traditions of Tobago. So today, you'll have a taste of what this year's festivities are all about. So sit back, of course, relax and enjoy the next half hour with us. I'm Davia Chambers, and Let's Talk Tobago starts right now. A new Heritage Calypso monarch is crowned. Find out who. Do you know how to dance the reel and jig and bushback? Well, you'll see the steps as we highlight the Moriah Old Time Wedding. The Tobago Heritage Festival's Junior Heritage is back. We have much more to come when Let's Talk Tobago returns, so stay with us.
Welcome to the 53rd General Assembly of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union from August 15th to 17th at the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort in beautiful Tobago. This year's theme, Media and Information Literacy. Tobago is a smaller sister in the twin island republic of Trinidad and Tobago, nestled in the heart of the Southern Caribbean. Enjoy 116 square miles of historical sites and award-winning eco-friendly land and marine spaces, including the magical Nylon Pool. And you're just a ferry away from a Trinidad adventure. Our warm hospitality, rich cuisine, and unique traditions will inspire you to extend your stay. Tranquil Tobago is where the Caribbean connects for the 53rd CBU Assembly. To register and enjoy discounts on Caribbean airline flights, visit www.caribbroadcastunion.org. Come and experience beyond ordinary.
So we kick things off with the Tobago Heritage Calypso Monarch, which took place at the Shore Park Complex on Friday night. Calypsonians got a chance to vie for the title in front of a live audience using their original lyrics. Let's take a look.
The Tobago Heritage Festival 2022 could not be complete without the Calypso Monarch. This feature is dedicated to celebrating a musical art form that reflects our national cultural identity. The battle for the title drew patrons from far and wide, with 11 contestants in the Calypso Monarch category and 4 contestants in the extempo category.
Reignite the flames of our heritage. Let's reignite the flames. We got traditions. Yeah, we live and go on existing simply because. So rejoice in chorus one voice in our ancestry, preserving their legacy. Mortar pestle, a calabash, papa boa, the spirit of lash.
That's the Heritage Calypso Monarch for 2022, Shamika Dinoon, performing her rendition, Reignite the Flames. Dinoon won $30,000, scoring 412 points, giving her her first Tobago Heritage Calypso Monarch title. Taking the second position and $20,000 was Giselle Fraser Washington, or Gigi. She scored 409 points with her rendition, Reflect, Rebirth, Rejoice.
When they call and we to reflect, you're getting the rebirth that you expect. Cause all we got join with you, yes. All we got sign with you.
And Caston Cupid got the nod from the judges for third place with 396 points. He took home $15,000 with his piece, Preserve the Heritage.
You can't have a heritage festival with no heritage. Heritage. Just so a village can raise a child if there is no village. The history of Congo Hill, see it as a privilege. Find the courage to preserve. We must reflect.
The extempo category was a crowd pleaser. Samuel Morris, or Ringo, walked away with the winner and 5 $1,000.
They say old age it has no remedy, but I don't feel they making sense to me, because it has things to strengthen you up. When you come out here on the block, to tell you the truth, we have we back row. A good green figure out here, boy, you know. So if they feel the old age thing stopping this man, tell them with old age, I'm still a champion.
I'm Kian Walker Hazel for Let's Talk Tobago.
The Junior Heritage Exhibition was engaging and interactive as young people came out in their numbers at the Shaw Park Complex to participate in jewelry making and more. The inaugural Little Miss Heritage 2022 was also a hit. We have all the highlights in this report. Have a look.
Designed as a means of preserving Tobago's cultural legacy, the Junior Heritage event focused on training and intergenerational transference of knowledge of local traditions to youth on the island. The young enthusiasts were exposed to a science fair, cooking traditions, jewelry and mask making, handicraft, folk stories, music and dance facilitated by the Department of Culture. Participants were even ingeniously engaged in recycling, purpose to exhibit wonderfully designed gowns for the afternoon's extravaganza and pageant show. Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Councillor Tashia Boris, brought greetings on behalf of her division.
I believe that the future of our culture rests with our young children. So I'm looking forward to seeing you dance. I'm looking forward to seeing you act. I'm looking forward to seeing you play your instruments. But more importantly, I'm looking forward to see you have fun.
Following a cultural interlude of dancing sailors came the inspection of gongs by the esteemed judges. After scores were tallied, it was time to announce the winners. First were the special prizes. Taking home Best Historical Piece and Best Environmentally Friendly Gong categories was the Signal Hill Police Youth Club. Winning the Most Creative Appeal category was the Mason Hall Police Youth Club. Placing third overall was the Zante Dance Company. Coming second was the Ebenezer Methodist Primary School. And taking the 2022 Little Miss Heritage crown was a total of 458 points was the Mason Hall Police Youth Club, represented by 6-year-old Kershal Andrews, wearing a Sharon Phillips creation titled Oshun, a tribute to our waters. I'm Josanne Brassi for Let's Talk Tobago.
We are here in Moriah at one of the most popular events of the Tobago Heritage Festival, where you can learn how to dance the reel and jig and the brushback. Of course, through the wedding reenactment tradition of the 18th century, the Moriah Old Time Wedding. Take a look now at some of the day's activities.
For we boy.
at the Moriah Old Time Wedding, of course a part of the Tobago Heritage Festival, and I am here with Brian Elder. He's also known as the Farine Man. So ladies and gentlemen, when you need Farine, this is the man to check. He has also told me that it's his first time coming to the Moriah Old Time Wedding. So tell me, what brought you out this year?
Well, firstly is that all the shows were free, so I decided I'll take a chance and go to all the shows. Well, I know Moriah was always free, but I still may come up here today and enjoy the festivities and see how the wedding go.
Tell us, how many years now have you been experiencing the Moriah Old Time Wedding?
I'm always supporting and coming out to dance because I love to dance.
So the dancing really brings you out every year?
Every year.
So one thing you are certain to see if you visit any Tobago Heritage Festival is beautiful women decked up in some of the most amazing African prints. So I'm going to ask this beautiful patron to introduce herself to the viewers. Firstly,
hi, I am Isabel from Moriah.
Okay, Isabel, tell me, is it your first time coming to the Moriah Old Time Wedding?
No, it is not. I am from Moriah, so Moriah Old Time Wedding is something traditional, it's natural, and I always, even though I'm not living in the Moriah area anymore, every time this occasion presents itself, I come back home to participate and to witness and to ensure that my daughter know what her heritage is all about. So Moriah Heritage is the place to be.
So I am here with the Vice Chairman of the Moriah Heritage Group, Miss Crystal Solomon, who will firstly tell us about this year's production at the Moriah Old Time Wedding.
This year we are depicting Remember When. So, you know, we're remembering things that happen in the village with various people, and we'll talk about certain stalwarts that passed away.
Tell me, what is the secret to making the Moriah Old Time Wedding so special? It may not be a secret after this because I want you to share it with us.
We maintain tradition. We are able to pass on things that our parents and foreparents used to do, experiences they had, and you know, so we can teach our young ones. It's no secrets, as you said. So yeah, it's basically maintaining our traditions. We have a lot more village participation. The wedding has grown over the years from what it used to be. And also, apart from the village participation, a lot of young people participating. So yeah, attracting the young minds.
All right, well, thank you so much, Crystal, and continue to keep our traditions alive.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, the Moriah Old Time Wedding of the Tobago Heritage Festival attracts scores of patrons from near and far. And the people from near, like this man, they don't miss a Moriah Old Time Wedding. Yes, the villagers support their production each year. Tell me, what keeps you coming back? And why do you continue to support the Tobago Heritage Festival?
We do something that people will learn, the heritage, the culture, our foreparents. You understand? Heritage is not only to laugh and to talk, but to learn of the past. And if you know about the past, you will know how far you are going in the future.
Correct. Now, what is your favorite aspect of the Moriah Old Time Wedding? That's the last question.
The brush back.
The brush back. Show us the brush back now.
Oh.
Go on, you do it.
Our music.
As the production of the Moriah Old Time Wedding continues, we spotted the area representative of Moriah Mason Hall and Secretary of the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, Assemblyman Ian Pollard. Now, Assemblyman Pollard, it is your first Moriah Old Time Wedding as area representative. How are you feeling?
Extremely proud of production. And I wanted the rest of Tobago and the rest of the world know the best production over the heritage season came from Moriah Mason Hall.
All right, and what do you enjoy most about the Moriah Old Time Wedding?
To see the young ones learning the brushback and stuff like that, to know that it's been passed on from generation to generation. It really touched my heart. It was really, really nice.
Nice. Well, do enjoy the remainder of the event, Assemblyman Pollard, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
The Pembroke Salaka Feast is on the other side of the break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come, there we go to Tobago, that paradise, bung by Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world sing, come Tobago for holiday.
Now we take you to where some refer to as the cultural capital of Tobago, of course Pembroke, for the highly talked about Pembroke Salaka Feast. Come along with us.
There is a time for everything. Yes! A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. Yes. A time to embrace and a time to turn away. A time to search and a time to quit searching.
The Pembroke Salaka Feast recreates the annual Thanksgiving festival in celebration of African ancestors for their guidance and favor granted during the past year. The Pembroke Salaka Feast began as usual with the early morning ritual, where the ancestors are summoned with the sprinkling of rum and sweet water, the blowing of conch shells, and the sweeping of the sacred ground. It ended with a stage production which depicted the feast through storytelling. The story this year spoke of the 6 cultural yards of Pembroke. The yards are the places where the ancestors dwell.
A yard is 3 feet. A yard is a sacred place.
Yes.
A yard is a place of freedom.
Freedom!
It was truly a celebration of the ancestors, as further highlighted through energetic African dancing and singing aimed at reigniting the flames of our legacy. The Pembroke Salaka Feast stage production was held at the Pembroke Heritage Park.
Lake Coteau's folk tales and superstitions was another highlight event over the past week here in Tobago as we celebrated the Tobago Heritage Festival. This year's production was themed, "It Takes 3 to Tangle. May the best one win." Here's more.
The Lake Coteau folk tales and superstitions was a mixture of drama, folk songs, lighting of candles, burning of incense, and flashing of superstitious characters. The evening stage production, which attracted many patrons, began with the ancestral call and procession of drummers. How far will you go to keep the one you love? That's the question the villagers sought to bring to life in their stage production. This year's production was titled, "It Takes 3 to Tangle. May the best one win."
I didn't want to live this kind of life. I want to be the wife of one husband. Not a husband to many wives.
It's square up there. We next over there?
Me not square you up. Me not square you up at all. Just come out of me yard.
You ain't giving any planting?
Come out of me yard.
Darwin send me for the planting, eh?
Rosie, me say come out of me yard.
You see this embarrassment there before people are like to see me and embarrassed from you? Me gone.
Take that one there. Take that one there alone. That one there alone you could take. Out of your place and fat.
And it was a non-stop drama, comedy, deceit, and suspense.
You know that I'm the only woman who does do everything good for you.
Everything good.
So go on. You know you go from bush and you have to make money for me because you know me just have to get the most.
That's right. And I have to make sure that your goat and them get good care. For get good
goat milk.
Goat milk.
Right. And
I want to share all my love.
Lass, you know I would never do anything like that. He come to look for his son. If you notice, he didn't come from in the house or under the house. He come from the side. I would never do that to you. You know I love you.
Maggie, I don't do away I think, but I would have still over here.
Good morning, Uncle Daddy.
Hey.
That is your father, what Uncle Daddy you're talking about. He pick up this stupidness down the road where they're calling mommy, auntie, uncle, daddy, all kind of stupidness.
All right, Maggie, don't make nice.
Well, Pa, I see you up by Miss Maggie.
What?
I saw you
You
with my
see me by
four
Maggie?
eyes. And mothers always tell me when I walk in the road and I see things just to come home straight and tell she. So about the shoe, Pa.
All right, let me give you the $10 for the shoe.
$10, Pa?
Yeah.
Pa, it's a
$10.
real thing I had to forget.
All right. Buy your shoe with that.
Pa, this ain't looking like enough is a real thing I had to forget. I had to forget how all you getting married in June. I had to forget the walk. I had to forget that only one 4 sheep, 4 pig, and the heart-shaped banana leaf.
I see.
And the whole...
Oh, you know Darwin married me. Everybody Darwin married me already before he died.
I'm Kian Walker Hazel for Let's Talk Tobago.
For more than 3 centuries, millions of people were forcibly transported from parts of the African continent in the transatlantic slave trade to work on plantations for the benefit of the Western world. Their fight for freedom should never be forgotten or taken for granted. This gives emancipation celebrations in our country particular depth, both in meaning and expression. Here's a look at this year's emancipation celebrations in Tobago.
It's a date that will always be remembered, August 1st, 1834. It was the day thousands of slaves in the British West Indies became free men and women. This year in Tobago, the holiday was commemorated with a street procession and a cultural show at the Store Bay Heritage Park. Then it was time for the cultural showcase featuring local performing groups and individuals.
But don't you know that prayers alone can't build a nation? Prayers alone or ritualistic libation. It is by your perspiration you will eat your bread.
And on this day, the Junior Heritage Queen was also crowned. The contestants had the opportunity to use recyclable materials to construct their evening gowns. Taking the title was Mason Hall Police Youth Club's Azaria Anderson.
Rosary beads, otherwise known as jump beads, mirrors and screw pine.
Second place went to Nyesha Dennis representing Zante Unique Touch, and Zante also grabbed the 3rd position via its representative, Janae Thomas. Chief Secretary Honorable Fali Augustine was also present at the celebrations, and it took the opportunity to remind Tobagonians that it has been 188 years since slaves in this country became emancipated. He said, given the traumas and the enslavement of the African ancestors, Black people must be celebrated.
Just as we demand, as Dr. Williams in 1944 in his seminal thesis pointed out, that it was the commercial capitalism of slavery that led to the development, the industrial development of Europe. And that's why we are owed. But just as we are demanding reparations, we must also demand responsibility. We must demand responsibility from each other first and foremost. We must demand that we be responsible for taking care of each other. Our coming together makes us more powerful than you can even imagine. And we have to find a way to be united. We must demand that we be responsible for changing all of those colonial rules that keep us from economic development, from self-actualization, and that stymies our creativity.
And here's what some of the patrons had to say about the event and Emancipation Day itself.
The production this evening or earlier today was a wonderful one. I participated in the street parade. I had a wonderful time expressing our freedom, our culture, our joy and everything. This afternoon's presentation here was a combination of the various groups and villages from Tobago. And what was nice is that we had a mix of the band that engaged the younger generation.
In this time, in this period that we've just gone through a pandemic, it means finding ourselves again. It means finding the places and the safe spaces within the community to start bringing this thing back. Finding our freedom of expression in a way that makes us say to the world who we are as a people, as a Tobagonian, as a nation, and understanding that the way forward is education.
Emancipation is a reminder to us that we are no longer enslaved, and for us to enjoy the freedom that we have, and is a reminder as well for us to know that we must continue to achieve our fullest potential as Black people and do what our purpose is designed for us to do.
The event also brought the curtains down on the Tobago Heritage Festival 2022. That's all for us, and with the close of this episode, we've completed our Tobago Heritage Festival Caravan. We thoroughly enjoyed the 2-week festival, and we truly hope you did as well, even though it may have been only through your devices. Remember, you can email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and productive week.
Yeah.
That one here with the flat here look very familiar. My friend, oh God, look how he handsome. Oh God, he's sweet, eh? If me little younger, oh God. Hey, when me young, eh? Hey, no, the man that used to watch me, no. Me no one hat number, eh?
Auntie Gracie still have it, man.
Yes, boy.
The niece them a walk through the national.
Auntie Gracie.
Give them Auntie Gracie.
That's Gracie. Aunt Gracie.
Aye. When Auntie Gracie left Cologne and walked all the way to Moriah.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. This is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. It is Thursday, the 11th of August, 2022. As we approach Friday the 12th, as Ria would say very nicely, Friday, as we head on in to the weekend. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for connecting with us as we continue to give God thanks for life. I am Julian Skeet, and I'm happy to be back here this morning. And yes, Ria is out for a few, but I'm back here with you this morning on set, folks, as we continue to connect with each and every one of you. We want to thank you so much for the continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show. A lot has been happening here within our Tobago space and even at the national level. I'm looking forward today, the Executive Council press briefing, and a number of matters to be responded to. Announcements coming out in terms of the launch of our Tobago Carnival. So we look forward to all those upcoming details as we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian. And here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, 11th August 2022. The official launch of Tobago's Carnival is set for Wednesday, 17th August. According to an invitation sent to members of the media, the launch will be held at the Shore Park Multicultural Complex with the theme Ritual, Revelry, Release. The Tobago Carnival Committee recently came under heavy criticism for its failure to release information about the event to stakeholders. Carnival in Tobago will take place from October 28th to the 31st. In today's post-executive media briefing at 9:30 a.m., Chief Secretary Farley Augustin is expected to address some of the concerns about Tobago's Carnival. And now in some health news, a new virus outbreak in China has captured the attention of the Ministry of Health. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasaram said the COVID-19 pandemic pointed out the need to pay close attention to the development of new viruses, such as the Languia henipavirus. LAV is a virus originating from animals but can also affect humans. It was found in 35 patients in the Shandong and Henan provinces of China who exhibited symptoms of fever, fatigue, and cough. Dr. Parasaram said the ministry is awaiting updates on the outbreak from the International Health Regulations Network. And meanwhile, the Ministry of Health reactivated 2 step-down facilities as hospitalized cases of COVID-19 steadily increased. There are 6,718 active COVID-19 cases in Trinidad and Tobago, with 184 hospitalizations. Out of that number, Tobago currently has 160 active cases with 24 hospitalizations. According to the Minister of Health, Terence Dial Singh, the recent uptick in cases would not spark changes to the public health regulations, but urge citizens to be responsible and use preventative measures in public. And in some other news, there are 2 fishermen that are missing from Palatuvere. Their names are Ashby and Terrell McWellington. Alex Ashby and Terrell McWellington. And the name of their boat is Panda, and the color of it is outside, white on the outside with a purple rim and green on the inside. According to just some reports that came to hand just a couple minutes ago, they went out to sea on Wednesday morning and are now missing. So if you all have any information about these 2 men, please contact the authorities. And that was the news in 90 seconds, and it's back to you, Julian.
Thank you so much there, Candice, connecting with us and keeping us updated. So much happening here in the Tobago space and at the national level, and we look forward what today will indeed bring. We're hearing comments coming out and concerns being raised from the minority leader. We are hearing statements being made by the Chief Secretary. So we look forward today to see the information being presented in terms of as we also connect, and particularly just as announced within the news there next week, Wednesday, looking forward to that launch. Yes, if you follow anything that's happening in Tobago, you know that there's much concern out there in relation to what is happening for our Tobago Carnival in October. And therefore, we look forward to those details coming up and connecting next week via the launch that is carded to take place. All right, so viewers, at this point, we prepare to head on into birthday celebrations this morning. Birthday celebrations this morning. And we begin on screen with Avian Williams, wishing Avian Williams a happy, happy birthday. We trust that you have an enjoyable day coming from the Tobago Updates family. We're also sending birthday shout-outs to Kurt KGB Gill, wishing you a happy birthday, KGB. Trust that you have an enjoyable day. And we send birthday shout-outs as well going out to Michelle Boris. All right, Michelle Boris, and most of us know her out there in community development. All right, we trust that you have an enjoyable birthday celebration, Michelle Boris. And we're also sending a birthday shout-out to Kira Alexander, and this is coming from your mom and dad and also Uncle Oswald and Auntie Ria and the entire family. All right, sending love to you, Kira Alexander, wishing each and every one of you a happy birthday. And we trust that you have, all of those of you celebrating birthdays today, we trust that you have an enjoyable birthday celebration on this Thursday, the 11th of August. All right, viewers, just to give you an idea in terms of the rundown for this morning, we will begin the conversation with none other than Leroy Batiste, and that's president of the Public Services Association, where we are speaking to trade unions unite to march. And you know, we are in that time period where the percentage doesn't seem to connect with the realities of increased prices. I don't know how else to put it, but it just doesn't seem to connect at all. And we look forward to having that conversation this morning with Leroy Batiste. We continue in the discussions with Ashworth Jack, former minority leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, and we are chatting on Tobago Carnival in October. We're going to get his perspective in relation to the Tobago Carnival upcoming. And on with us this morning as well, we'll have Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator at Assembly Legislature, and we're speaking to the People's Gala, and that's going to be one of the introductions happening this year, and we look forward to those details. Good to see the presiding officer in the Tobago House of Assembly. So we look forward to those details with Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator of the Assembly Legislature. And this morning, you know, I got to pause for a moment. Shirt this morning, I think this is, you know, Ria would normally help with those color definitions. A maroon combination here this morning, a shirt courtesy Checkpoint. And that's Checkpoint located at Upper Main Street in Scarborough. So remember to check them out. Checkpoint, 639-5148. That's 639-5148. All right, viewers, and so we want to thank you for continuing to connect with us. Those of you joining us via Gael, the Caribbean, those of you joining us via Emily TV, those connecting with us via the radio, those of you listening on Smash Radio and Street 91.9 FM. We want to thank you so much for continuing to connect with us. And of course, those of you who have been with us from day one online, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support, folks. And this is the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
This world is getting so cold. I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul.
Street 919 FM and the Tobago Updates presents the Tobago Updates Morning Show live simulcast on the Street 919 FM. Start your day with all the information you want and need with the simulcast of the Tobago Updates Morning Show live Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. on the Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Moriah Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now, 333-4430. At Moriah Home Services, we take cleaning to another level.
Everybody only worrying.
Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry, if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
It's 7:09 a.m. viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. And just to connect with some of our viewers are on the live with us this morning, we want to say morning and shout outs going out to each and every one of you. And let me see, we're pulling up information here now for those of you on the live with us, those who are connecting. All right, and there appears to be a little technical difficulty on my system here. I'm not seeing most of all right, something is going wrong here on the device. All right, so we'll have to check in on that. But we want to encourage you, continue to make your comments, continue to connect with us on the live here, those of you on social media and on Facebook. And this morning, before we head on into our next interview, we just got to make some distinctions with you. Tobago Updates continues to operate as an independent media house and production house here, operating from within the Tobago space, streaming content for Trinidad and Tobago, the region, and the world at large. We are not affiliated with any other local or national media house within Tobago or within Trinidad and Tobago. So we continue as an independent media entity. That's Tobago Updates, as a general reminder to each and every one of you out there. Viewers, we head on into our discussions this morning with the Public Services Association, and that's President Leroy Batiste, and my understanding is that he should be online with us already. Leroy Batiste, good morning, sir. Good morning. All right, so it seems like we need to make that connect again with Leroy Batiste this morning on set with us, and he should be joining us online. And yes, let me head on back to our comments and the lineup there. We want to say morning and shout outs going out to QK Melville. We have joining us on the live Travis Moses, Marlene Hamilton, Donna Walcott, Wendy Ann Phillips. And yes, Wendy Ann, thank you so much. You know, that as I saw that good morning, Julian Skeet there, I see the, you know, the good energy with it. Thank you so much. We want to thank Lisa James and each and every one of you continuing to connect with us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Even my aunt as well, before I get into any trouble, Auntie Silma, morning to you. Auntie Silma out there, and my grandmother Ursula out there, Granny Eula out there in Buku area. We want to say morning and shout outs to you as well, each and every one of you connecting and joining with us this morning here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Selma Lashley. All right, folks, at this point we prepare again to connect with the president for the Public Services Association. All right. Okay, viewers, so as we try to get the connection going with Leroy Batiste, the president for the Public Services Association, to speak on the trade union matters and the march that is carded for tomorrow, we're going to head on over just for a bit into our good stuff this morning. We're going to head on over into our good stuff this morning on the lineup as we continue to celebrate Tobago. All right, and this morning in the good stuff, we have kudos going out to WPC Shawnee Thompson. And she's the first Trinidad and Tobago Police Service International Qual female bomb tech, all right, admitting that it never once crossed her mind to pursue such a daunting feat. the lone TTPS representative and only female at this year's Police Explosive Technicians Radiology course in Canada, have attained international qualifications as a bomb technician. She is WPC Shawnee Alexandra Thompson of the Special Branch Explosives Detection and Disposal Unit. WPC Thompson, the first police woman to be internationally qualified as a bomb technician within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Caribbean, specifically navigated through a 5-week program from May 30th to June 30th at the Royal Canadian Mounted Police College and the Technical and Protective Operations Facility, Ottawa, Canada, where she scored 96.7% and 100% in 2 written assessments and passed all practical exams. The first female bomb technician in Trinidad and Tobago was Acting Sergeant Adelina Hospitalis. There were 11 participants from 4 different countries: United Kingdom, Canada, Iceland, and our very own Trinidad and Tobago. During the course, she underwent different types and components of explosives and procedures to render them safe. She was chosen due to her performance, work ethic, attitude towards work, interpersonal skills, deportment, and several other attributes. The officer, who has about 5 years service, disclosed that her career in the TTPS was birthed as a result of her passion for serving and working with young persons, helping others, and being a patriot. In my early years, she says, her passion led to enroll in the Trinidad and Tobago Cadet Force, where she served over a period of 15 years until attaining the rank of 2nd Lieutenant, working with young persons like herself and acquiring several disciplines, weapons, foot drills, and leadership skills. She even spent a short period with the Youth Department of the Tobago House of Assembly, which allowed her to work with communities, even the one that she grew up in. She urged fellow police officers never to give up and to find and pursue their passion. The TTPS has a lot to offer, and one should not limit themselves or settle by being comfortable in their current position. Identify your passion, set goals, and monitor your progress. Identify your strengths and weaknesses. Train your skills, master your craft, become the best version of yourself. Remain open-minded, keep learning, stay strong, and never give up. And those were the words of WPC Shawnee Thompson. And therefore, we want to say congratulations for good stuff this morning. And I personally want to send out my congratulations as well to Shawnee Thompson. Certainly someone I've been able to connect with in the youth development field, doing her thing there and before heading on into the TTPS, and certainly showing that connection and that greater level of responsibility as she seeks to make a difference here in Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore we say congratulations, Shawnee Thompson. All right, viewers, at this point, this is your opportunity as we head on out, and our reminder to you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
I just want a microphone, morning. I just want a microphone, morning.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susalines, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Exhale Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:18 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. And just before we head on into the next segment, viewers, on a bit of a sad note this morning, we want to send condolences out to the family of the late Mike Duncan. And I would have met Mr. Duncan as early as my days at Scarborough Secondary School with Cheryl Duncan, also in the art forms, in the culture and so on, and doing his part and making his contribution most definitely. And so this morning we want to take the time out, coming from Tobago Updates, to send our condolences out to the family of Mike Duncan. Certainly always a challenging time and a challenging moment, but he has certainly made his contribution here in the Tobago space, and I dare say nationally and even beyond that, at the regional level, working with a number of young persons and encouraging. And I even recall those days of even the Turn of the Tide series and so on, and we want to say indeed our condolences goes out to the entire family. Viewers, at this point, we head on over to our segment with Mr. Leroy Baptiste, President of the PSA. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I have video.
All right. So we appear to be having a little audio challenge here. You hearing me clearly on your end?
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
Having some challenges there in terms of the connection with Mr. Leroy Baptiste to be able to discuss some of those upcoming issues. But just to give you some highlights as well, viewers, in the mix, we have had indications coming out from the Ministry of Health. Health Minister Terence Dialsing making the announcement in terms of the reactivation of 2 step-down facilities in the coming days in light of the rising, COVID. Wow, and it speaks to the rising COVID cases that are taking place within Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, we have become so, we've had to become so conscious of the circumstances the world over in relation to how diseases continue to affect us. And therefore, we see that happening in the Trinidad and Tobago space, and we look forward to what the updates will be even right here in terms of our caterings in the Tobago space. All right, we're going to give it a try once more. We have President Leroy Baptiste of the PSA on with us this morning. Good morning to you, sir.
And good morning to you, Julian. Good morning to you.
Excellent. I can say finally, warm welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show.
Thank you, sir. And good morning to your viewership and your listenership.
Excellent. So as we get started here this morning, we're chatting in terms of, in the first instance, we want to speak to the issue of the PSA and where things are currently in terms of the negotiations. There continues to be the cry that we are living on 2013 and salaries from a number of years ago, and 0 seems to be the easiest number to call when a negotiation starts on the part of the CPO. Tell us, what's the status of those negotiations?
Well, Julian, we're not much further than the 0, and you're only so correct. that seems to be the posturing of the CPO and by extension the government, that when it comes to the human resources, the workers in this country, that they are deserving of nothing. And therefore they move from a whooping 2% to 4%, which bears no reality to the circumstances faced by workers. And therefore we're in a situation where we have reached nowhere really in the context of negotiations. But Julian, let me quickly add, the word negotiations is an overstatement it's an overstatement. We are not engaged in negotiation. We have to call it something else. They pay a CPO handsomely, and what he comes and he does is literally read a letter. So you will come there, you would have signed a letter addressed to the unions, and then he would simply read it out. And then he would wait to see what response, if any. And then it would be followed with a subtle threat that this thing could end up in the special tribunal. And that is what passes for negotiations, Julian. It is not negotiation. It's nothing more than we meet and we hear a position, take it or leave it. And that's a problem we have been having. And one of the reasons why workers had to come out in their numbers, because it's not a disrespect to the union leaders, it's a disrespect to workers, because we are representing workers, Julian. And the state must come to recognize that there's no country that is built, no time in the world without workers. And workers are the critical resource in the context of the building of any society. And it must be regarded and respected. And that is not what we have been engaged in this purported negotiation. All you have is it's a man who works as a messenger and come and reads and subtle threats and ultimatums what he would deliver. And it's very unfortunate, and we need as workers to come out and reject that approach. I was pointing to just in the USA, where the Senate was trying to agree on a bill, and you'd hear people spending hours on end in trying to come to a position and negotiate to get a settlement. That is what is negotiations, when people really come there with a preparedness to engage each other's perspective and come to some kind of position, not the barganistic bullying that is taking place and complete disregard of the human resources as is currently taking place, passing for negotiations.
So I note what you've said in terms of the what appears to be negotiations, starting with the presentation, and I'm making the assumption that the presentation of this letter is really a letter from the CPO indicating what the position, as you have started noting, in terms of where the discussions will start. Has the union, the PSA, in terms of presented a counter as to what is acceptable and where we should go?
Definitely we have. Definitely we have, Julian. Negotiation is premised upon trying to help workers maintain a standard of living. And Julian, you would have a salary, and your salary, whatever your salary is, it translates to the value of goods and services you could obtain for your salary. With the passage of time, inflation would impact that purchasing power that your salary would have given you. And therefore, what you do when it comes to renewal of your contract, you tend to now engage in negotiation to at least reestablish your purchasing power, the value of your salary to you. So if I have working for 5,000, I could get 5,000 worth of goods, but the impact of inflation is such that I'm only now getting 4,000 worth of goods for the $5,000. The union will come and negotiate and try to reestablish your purchasing power by way of negating the impact of inflation on your salary. And that is the basis for negotiations. Indeed, as any good union, you will try to even improve upon and improve your purchasing power and not just maintain it. So that the union would have, on behalf of the public officers, one, taking into consideration that we have 3 outstanding periods, 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, and 2020 to 2022, and that the fact that the government would have the idea of saying about affordability issues, we would have focused and therefore we would have said to the CPO, let's deal with one period at a time. We all are there and we will be looking at the macroeconomic environment and see how things goes. So let us deal with one period at a time. And therefore the focus would have been the 2014-2016 period, the first period. And we would have, on behalf of public officers, we would have proposed 9% 2014, 6% 2015, and 4% on 2016, which is 19% all told. The 19% taking into consideration, Julian, that during that period, inflation, headline inflation was 14%. During that period, food inflation was 27%. During that period, fuel prices had gone up by roughly 30%. So we took all that into consideration, taking particularly the fact that the lower income, the persons in the lower income bracket, a disproportionate amount of their salaries goes towards putting food on the table. And therefore, we would have recommended, therefore, a 19% on behalf of the public officers. Not only that, we would have, in terms of the cost of living allowance, of course, we would have asked for the consolidation of cost of living onto their basic salary as at the salary what obtained in December 31st, 2013. And then a new COLA would have been proposed with effect from January 1st, 2014, $500, January 1st, 2015, $550, and January 1st, 2016, $750. Again, that takes into consideration, as we all know, that the cost of living has skyrocketed. And that cost of living allowance is to help cushion the blow of the continued escalation of prices of goods and services within our community.
As you mentioned the point about negotiations. And one of the realities in negotiations is sometimes we go down, sometimes we hope to go up. Is the PSA prepared for some movement based on the posturing of the 19% collectively in these negotiations, or is this for you take all or leave it?
Julian, it's negotiations, and yes, with negotiation you are prepared to move. That's indeed as fundamental as you can get a basis for negotiation. As I've said, negotiation is in fact the art of compromise, and compromise means that the parties will, when the dust settle, that both parties would feel not fully satisfied, because there's a give and take on the part of the both parties. That is what negotiation is intended. When it hurts, you know that you have negotiated, because it meant you would have given something. Yes? And in that regard, Julian, the union just didn't simply ask for percentage increases and the cost of living. We went further and we tabled on behalf of public officers. And whereas the public officers are asked to come out on Friday to reject what is passing for negotiation and that they must be treated with respect, and to come out and reject the constant attack on jobs in terms of people being retrenched and people livelihoods being affected, that they are also asked to come out and support what we have placed before them, on their behalf. And among them, besides the allowances and in terms of the monetary settlement, we have put before the CPO on behalf of public officers things aimed at alleviating the hardship experienced by public officers, Julian. Such as, one of the fundamental things is that a lot of the public officers, as you will be well aware, they are temporary. They don't have tenure. They're unable to approach a financial institution to sort out their future plans. And you can't have people living just one day at a time, 6 months at a time, 1 year at a time. They need to be able to plan their lives. So one of the things we have asked for, because it's well within the government purview, is to deal with the filling of these vacancies, deal with people in these acting arrangements for years on ending, and they cannot go to a bank and in fact treat with future plans and engage with planning how they're going to get their homes and the like. They're not permitted to take out a mortgage. fill the vacancies, appoint and promote public officers. That will impact their standard of living and how and so that we can move ahead and they can plan their lives. So that's one of the things that we have put on the table. We have also put where we have workers that we are calling contract workers, but they're performing jobs of a continuous nature, regularize their status. Again, dealing with tenure on behalf of public officers. We have also placed, Julian, most importantly, an improved health plan on behalf of public officers. Right now, the plan that is before the public office, that the public officer has, is one where they have to find all the money up front when they go to the doctor, when they go to the pharmacy. And that is untenable. So you have a doctor visit us $300, that the public officer will have to find $300 and then make a claim and wait 6 to 8 months, hoping to get a refund after 6 to 8 months. That is untenable. We have placed a plan that from a reputable company that we know can work, where all the worker has to find is 20% when they go by the doctor. When they go to the pharmacy, they may have to find as little as even 5% of the bill if they opt for generic bill. So a $300 visit will cost a public officer $60. Pharmaceuticals, a cost of $1,000 could easily cost them $200. In the case of if they opt for generic drugs that are approved, they could pay for every $100. The public officer might only have to find $5 to get his drugs. Now, we have placed that before the CPO. Again, that will impact the standard of living of our public officers. We have also placed before the CPO the issue of public officers needing to acquire homes. And the average salary of public officers, they will not qualify to purchase a home on the open market. Julian, a home in the open market is about 1.4, 1.5 million on average for a 3-bedroom home. And the reality is that the qualifying salaries for public officers, they simply wouldn't be able to, outside of probably just the top positions in the public service. Is in that regard, the average public officer have to go and apply to the HDC to get a home, and the HDC has over 200,000 applications waiting to be processed. So we have asked the government through the CPO to give preferential access to HDC homes for public officers as one of the things, again, to help them put a roof over their heads. We have also placed before the CPO and the government the idea of giving tax breaks on vehicles. They could link it with clean energy, in other words, hybrid vehicles, where as they give themselves tax exemptions when they bring in cars for parliamentarian, yes, that your employees, you know that a car is not some luxury item. That's the only way people can travel safely in this country. We don't even have no particularly public transport to talk about. But the only way you could travel safely, particularly at any time after hours, is with your own vehicle. So that you are forced to purchase a vehicle. So we have asked to give consideration to tax exemptions for the employees of the public service, for public officers. All this and more we have had placed that they can look at in the context of resolving these negotiations where the public officer is able to maintain the standard.
I'm happy that you would have mentioned a number of those areas, and for this reason, specifically because there's the feeling with persons that you only hear about the trade union in times of negotiations for increased wages, and that's it in terms of the broader responsibility. But I want us to dive a little bit further into tomorrow is proposed to be a united march that takes place. Tell us a little bit more about that plan and the intended objective that you are striving to achieve as the trade union movement.
Well, simple enough, Julia. The trade union movement, we are representatives. So we go out there and we speak on behalf of persons. The problem is, too often, the media postures the negotiations as almost like if it's a game of will between the union leaders and the would-be government minister, the CPO. Like it's some kind of battle between leaders and the government. And therefore, as representatives, we often need for the government to know that we are not speaking on our own behalf, but we are speaking on behalf of the persons we represent. So in this regard, Friday is about sending a clear signal to the government that what we are advancing are not advancing on behalf of the union leaders themselves, but on behalf of the persons we represent. Among them being one, that we want to reject outright the government's policy of attacking persons' jobs. They are using this notion of restructuring as a tool being used by this particular administration to get rid of persons' jobs and get rid of organized labor and the trade unions in environment, so that replacing decent, good-paying jobs with contract, short-term type employment. And that we want workers to come out and reject that policy outright. We have particular reference to WASA workers being attacked right now. A whole demonization campaign waged by the government against WASA workers. Similarly, they have done it across the public service. They starve the public service, as you may know, Julian. The public service is only half of the positions are filled. And when they do that, you have a lot of inefficiencies within the system. And then the government will come from divisions to divisions, sections to sections within the public service. And they hear the restructuring. Now they're dealing with BIR and customs. They're going to be attacking licensing and immigration. That's their... And in WASA, same thing, using restructuring, again, to move from decent jobs to indecent jobs. Open a new company, get rid of all the people jobs in WASA, and they will be opening a new management company where they rehire persons on contract, on short-term contract, which amounts to the exploitation of workers. We want them, workers, to come out and let their voices be heard and reject that policy of the government to retrench people as part and parcel of their economic model. A model, Julian, that means the widening of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Secondly,
what do you anticipate will be the response of the government? Because this course of action is not something unusual in the context of Trinidad and Tobago and trade union movements making a statement. What do you anticipate will be the response and the understanding of the government coming out from that march tomorrow? You know, if we are to hope that the relevant numbers show up to really show their dissatisfaction.
Right. So Julian, let me just put in these two. The other items is that they will come out there and reject the 4%. So the government must know the people we represent says no to that 4%. That is inconsistent with negating the impact of inflation on their income. So whatever increases that we agree upon must have the effect of at least allowing workers to maintain their standard of living. And therefore the proposal I would have outlined to you, that the workers will come out and identify with those proposals as being what they want. And what the government, you know what people say, the voice of the people are the voice of God. Well, my God, the intent is when the workers come out there, that the government will stand up and take heed that the workers are unprepared to settle for macroeconomic policies that impoverish them, that they are unprepared to settle for that. And we have the firm view that if the workers come out in their numbers, the government, by extension, the country, will have to adjust accordingly. And where you would settle, and by adjusting right now, Julian, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is unacceptable.
But
an adjustment must take place where we close that gap. And that is where good paying jobs come in, where you must have comfortable with good paying jobs in a community, where you can have a middle class being born out of workers that gain a good salary, that they can move into being able to take care of themselves and their families properly. And finally, Julian, in this regard, that when you're able to take care of yourself, you're able to prepare a better place for those you have brought into the world. Because that is what a society ultimately wants. That you are able to leave something. They say a good man leaves an inheritance, not just his children, but his children's children. If you can't take care of yourselves, how can you take care of those that come after you, the generation that come after you? So that is, we want an adjustment of society where you close the gap between the haves and the have-nots, and you allow the flourishing of a middle class. That is the fundamental work of the trade union movement, to ensure that workers can take care of themselves, their families, and in fact, be able to prepare a better place for their children to strive.
How do you respond to those that raise the query and the concern that during the 2+ years that we have been experiencing the impact of the pandemic and COVID-19, that government workers were not affected in the context, and I make the direct comparison to a number of persons in the private sector losing jobs, some having to settle for reductions in salaries and so on. But the vast majority of our public officers not having to face that during the pandemic. In fact, some would even make the point that public officers had the opportunity to work from home while continuing to receive full remuneration. How do you respond to persons that indicate that public officers should feel privileged at this time and not put this kind of pressure on the government and the economy of Trinidad and Tobago?
I'm glad, I'm happy if one was to hold out, because by the way, I know of public officers who in fact have lost their jobs. I know of public officers who have been fired during this period for having to, they have children and they have to stay home with their children. They could not have any support system in place, and their organization that terminated these workers, and they are now in court dealing with it. So I know of that facts. I know of workers who have lost pay in the public service as a result of this COVID. But notwithstanding that the public officers are taxpayers. So when we use the concept of taxpayers, and therefore if the treasury and monies that taxpayers have placed in the treasury, it is used to support workers when we had a pandemic, or have a pandemic as a matter of fact, that we are all dealing with, that is money well spent. What we should be more concerned with is at the time of the pandemic also, Julian, when you look at in the business community, people had obscene profits. The banking community was declaring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in profits. One group declared over $986 million in profit, and all that is during the COVID period. You know, no one didn't stop and have a difficulty when the business community declares, pandemic or no pandemic, that the profit margin grows from year to year, pandemic or no pandemic. We have a banking community that the financial, the regulatory environment in this country forces every citizen to participate in that, in the banking community, whether we like it or not. And then you have the banks being able to, I'm sorry, the only word I could use, extort millions of dollars in profits from the national community. And no one has a problem with that. As the PSA, I speak as the PSA, no difficulty with business community making its profits. And we all know they need to improve shareholder value from year to year. And people has be comfortable in, they boast how the profits would have grown from year to year. But let me tell you what's the other side, the other side of that. The other side of that, workers too have expectation of their standard of living improving from year to year. That is the expectation of workers. And any society worth its salt would want to ensure that that we leave a better place for the children that comes after us. And the children that come after us, and you know what's important to know that? Because that's how our society grows. That is how our society grows. And if a person cannot take care of themselves, they are unable to take care of the generations that follow. And you will end up with a prime minister being able to talk about a public health emergency in describing crime and criminality and violence in a society. Because you know what that reflects? Social decay. When you don't take care of the workers in a society, you end up with social decay. Because if a person can't take care of themselves, they will not be able to take care of the generation that follows. We must be comfortable, Julian, in knowing from year to year, just as if a businessman boasts of his profit growing from year to year, it is the right thing that workers too must be in a position to know that their standard of living improves from year to year. Just as the businessman boasts during the pandemic period of their growth in profits, then we too must be in a position to be able to say that we have improved the workers' standard of living from year to year.
Mr. Leroy Batiste, as we prepare to wrap this morning's interview, what are your words of encouragement to members of the union and those members that continue to rely on you in a time, and we see some comments coming on the live, in a time where prices continue to skyrocket in a number of areas? You go to the supermarkets, you seek to access services with the reopening that has happened following the pandemic, and everything has moved up except the salaries of those within the government fold. What are your words of encouragement as we look towards the same productive public service moving our nation forward?
Well, and one of the things that have gone up is corporate profits. I just want to emphasize that. Not only the cost, that's the strange dilemma that we face as a community. That you have cost of living going up and you also have profit margin going up in the business community. We all, everyone, and I'm talking to society at large, including corporate Trinidad and Tobago, must really start to weigh in on this whole issue of ensuring that workers are able to take care of themselves and their families. And you have, in terms of people's standard of living raising generally among the community. And my words to workers is that it's about the workers standing up and ensuring that the equation changes and that settlements are skewed in favor of them. The workers must come up and come out and let their voices be heard. It's they that have to ensure that the society adjusts to take their needs, their wants, their into consideration. The workers have to come out. Once they come out and ensure that they be heard, I am comfortable. All of society the adjustment will take place. All of society. The government will have to adjust. Corporate Trinidad and Tobago will have to adjust. I intend to, in fact, meet with corporate Trinidad and Tobago and ask them to adjust and to assist in ensuring that we have a more fair and equitable society where you have the gap narrowed between the haves and the have-nots, and you have a middle class that we all could be proud and say, hey, this is you wouldn't have to talk about crime and criminality and violence as being a public health emergency. That only happens because when you cannot prepare a better place for the generation that comes up, that will come after us, then is a situation of the people have to be brought up by the streets. And because if you can't put a roof over your head, you can't help your children to put a roof over their heads, then you find these people having to grow up in the streets, and you have the problem that is taking place now in this community, particularly in Trinidad. And we have to ensure that changes. Workers must come out and reject outright retrenchment policies of this government, reject outright the paltry 4% that has no bearing or relevance to the impact of inflation on their income, reject outright the disrespect being met out by the government through the CPO, where they are coming around a table purporting to engage in negotiation when they're simply coming out there to engage in intimidation and bullying and threats by way of reading and take it or leave it approach.
Yes, well, we have to leave it there for this morning, Mr. Leroy Baptiste, President of the PSA, but certainly giving us, much to think about in relation to the issues that are currently affecting us as a country, and the perspective and the position of the PSA, and by extension, the trade union movement. Thank you very much for joining us on set. Leroy Baptiste, President of the PSA, speaking to our trade union, the trade union march that is set to take place tomorrow. And also, as I mentioned, a number of issues looking out for the continued growth and development and the best interests of members within the fold of the trade union. Viewers, at this point, this is your opportunity before we head on into the next segment to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Good morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face. When you're moving from place
with
to place.
Tobago updates, call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Our national borders, our first step to security, but a possible access point for guns, drugs, crime. If it does not look right, do the right thing. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously. 800-8477. Report possible border crime.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And in this segment, we are chatting with Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator at the Assembly Legislature. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Julian. Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm energized and excited. We saw published and put out there, launched out on social media, the People's Gala. It seems like a grand affair. It seems like something splendid. It seems like an invitation only. And then we hear the great news that there are about 60 persons that will get this opportunity. So let's start by telling us about the significance of the People's Gala and when it will take place, the upcoming event.
Well, I'm excited as well. After all, it's 60 years, independence, the anniversary of our country gaining independence, and it's something to celebrate. So while we do have the regular activities on the calendar, and those activities include the parade, which is led by the military, and the reception that happens afterwards. Everybody know about that, right? You go from base to base and so on. So those things are still there. The addition is the People's Gala, and it was the presiding officer and the Assembly Legislature that found that it was necessary to do something to mark this significant event in a way that will include members of the public. And Julian, at the Assembly Legislature, we focus on getting the information out about Tobago's legislative history. And in this context, it would be the legislative history, Tobago's history, and the national history in celebration of the 60th anniversary.
So what can we look forward to in terms of coming out from this People's Gala, in terms of what is expected? I want to take a sneak peek in. I'm not sure if Presiding Officer Abby Taylor gave permission for all the details to come out, but I want to take a sneak peek in to what are persons to expect from this opportunity.
Right. So, it's going to be a black tie event. So we want people to come out in their best and be excited about learning, because as I said, everything we do, there must be an element of education. So we're going to have a show that will include education, entertainment, food, and of course refreshments in general. But we want people to come and have fun, and you can't do that if you just restrict the event to VIPs. right? So while, of course, because of the nature of the event, the 60th anniversary, the People's Gala, we will have the dignitaries, but we wanted to give members of the public a fair chance in also attending. And therefore, we have on social media the link to go to our website and enter your name for an opportunity to be selected as one of the 60 to attend the gala.
All right, and I'm heading on in right now, and I'm asking the question, and I want you to walk us through. The link takes you into, and I see there's a grand win and invitation to the People's Gala. So walk us through the process, so that persons understand, no folks, she's not just talking here in the context of this is going to be happening and it's going to be for a select grouping. Each and every one of you right here in the Tobago space have an opportunity. So walk us through the process. How does one enter this competition to seek to gain this opportunity?
Right. So you go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our website. It's also there's also a link on the THA website that will take you to a form online. You insert your information, and if you meet the criteria, you're then put into a random draw. So, you know, some people called and they were like, you probably reached 60 people already. How you could do that? You know, like we didn't have a chance to enter. Don't worry, there's a deadline, which is August 19th. Why? Because some people might enter and they do not meet the criteria. So the idea is, if you're watching this show this morning and you plan to attend the People's Gala, go to the website, go to the Facebook page, go to the Instagram page, and enter for a chance to win your ticket to the People's Gala.
Right. Tell us a little bit about the rules and the criteria for those who will actually qualify by the time you get to the point of the draw.
The first thing, you have to be a resident in Tobago. This is not to be discriminatory, because anybody born in Trinidad and Tobago could be living in Tobago, right? So the idea is you want to give people in Tobago an opportunity to attend such an event. And you don't have to be any particular age. Once you're an adult, you can enter. So being a resident, being an adult, you must have a national ID number. You're subject to a background check, and I think that's self-explanatory. So you put in your contact information, so you know when you win, we could call you. Put in your email address, so we could send you the e-invite if you know you preferred, you know, digitally. But you also have a hard copy, something to remember the event by. So it's that simple. Go to the Facebook page, Assembly Legislature. Go to the Instagram page, go to our website, tobagolegislature.org, and you'll see the link to enter for your chance to win a ticket to the People's Gala, celebrating 60 years of independence for Trinidad and Tobago.
So is this one of those competitions that I can enter as J. Skeet, I can enter as Julian Skeet, I can enter as JJ Skeet? Tell us, are there any limitations?
You know some people will try,
yes,
right?
Are there any limitations with the amount of entries per person that are permitted?
That is the wonderful thing about having the contact information and the ID and so on. There is a limit because only one ticket will be issued to that winner. Your name will be on it. You cannot say, oh, I win this ticket, I win 4. And I give in auntie and mommy and sister. No. Your name will be on it, and it will have to match the contact information and the ID information that's there. And I must say that the information will only be used for that event. We're not storing people's personal information for any other reason. It's just for verification. So, you know, you could enter multiple times, but you will only be one winner.
Do you see this kind of initiative and activities setting a trend probably for others to be guided by at the national level and even regionally and beyond? How you incorporate and connect with the average citizen that might not normally have an opportunity to be at a gala like this and might have to follow it on social media and so on to see what's happening and wondering, wow, what would that experience be like?
You know, when Trinidad and Tobago gained independence, it was around an era where the region was ready for that kind of autonomy. And I think that for other countries, there's a similar experience in terms of celebrating independence in a way that's very grand. Different countries will do it in different ways. And similarly, in Trinidad and Tobago, I'm sure that different parts of the country will have their own approach to making sure that people enjoy the independence celebration. And of course, that starts with the parade. So there is no exclusion in terms of actually getting a taste of the excitement and the celebration and so on. I think that that is already there. What the People's Gala adds is the aspect of the assembly legislature specifically. And again, I emphasize, when you get there, yes, you'll enjoy it, but you must leave learning something new. And that I will leave for people who attend the event.
Tell us, can persons also look forward to those successful 60, an opportunity to be able to engage with and interact with the presiding officer herself, Abby Taylor?
Of course. And I know that she already has those plans in mind. You will be meeting the presiding officer's gala on the 29th of August at Shaw Park.
So I can't have Sophia Cooper on and not speak about the fact, when we speak to our legislative history and how significant this is, we have seen efforts, and, you know, we've had presiding officers over time really seeking to, as I would call it, open up the legislature, so to speak, and to make it more accessible. One of my very first opportunities to engage with a presiding officer directly was former presiding officer Mr. Kelvin Charles, and then moving on to the likes of continuing to host activities to open up the assembly legislature so that more persons recognize this is the people's house, this is the people's space to be able to engage. Can we look forward to those kinds of initiatives continuing beyond the People's Gala, to continue to open this space to make it even more accessible to the people of Tobago?
Definitely. And you know, when you look back at Tobago's history, Tobago had 2 houses before, and that was a long time ago. But it's important to understand the history and how authority evolved in Tobago. So for us, it's about making sure people know where you come from so you know where you're going. And so we have all these conversations about island government and self-government and autonomy. What does that really mean in the context of our legislative history? So yes, we will continue to find ways to get people involved and do it in a way that they will enjoy it. Now, there is the National Parliament, but for us in Tobago, the Assembly Legislature is the seat of democracy on the island. So it's important for us to have that kind of appreciation for the role that the legislature plays. It's a place where all members, elected and selected, would meet. That's the only place on the island that happens. So just to emphasize, the People's Gala on the 29th of August 2022 at Shaw Park. It starts at 6 p.m. You must be seated by 5:45. Listen, Julian, I know we have to...
It have no Tobago time.
Not in this instance. You know, we want you to be dressed in your best and seated and ready. Right? So 6 p.m. is the start, but you must be seated by 5:45, the 29th of August 2022 at Shaw Park. I must say, however, initially the idea was to get 60 people born in 1962. So, 60 at 60. However, based on popular demand, people saying, how can you do that? How can you exclude us? So that's why it's open to everybody, not just those who were born in the year that we gained independence, but everybody who wants an opportunity to attend the People's Gala. Go to that link on our Facebook page or Instagram page or website to enter your information in that form.
All right, so viewers, you have the opportunity here, and now head on over to the social media pages, the website, make that connect, enter your information, and you could be one in the 60. And if I head to the live, I see commendations coming from Pearl Murray Beard in terms of, I think that this initiative is a good one, a good initiative by the Assembly Legislature. I see some saying 60 for 60. They're certainly going to Didi Vincent. Yes, we could enter and attend. This is our opportunity. So folks, we want to encourage you here, and we want to thank you so much, Sophia Cooper, for joining us on set and to giving that gentle reminder to persons that this is an opportunity for the people of Tobago, and appropriately named the People's Gala. All right, folks, we thank you very much for joining us on set. Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator with the Assembly Legislature. And viewers, at this point, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we look forward we ask you to remember to connect with us tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 12th of August, also known as International Youth Day. And if you know me any at all, passionate about youth development and really continuing to support and to encourage our young people in every way, form or fashion. But don't go just yet. From this segment of the Tobago Updates Morning Show, we prepare to head on over to GMT, Good Morning Tobago, with Candice as we continue. So we invite you to ensure that you stay tuned. So it's just bye for now for the Tobago Updates Morning Show. But stay tuned for GMT with Candice. Bye-bye, folks. See you tomorrow.
I just want the microphone. Morning. Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. This world is getting so cold. I wanna keep running like a soldier. Somebody must have touched my soul, 'cause there ain't no stopping till it's over. I wanna get up out my chair, 'cause everybody's getting so lazy. Don't want nobody to touch my hair.
Everywhere, feel the vibe, 'cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you up. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy our treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero, champion, fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
Good morning. Put a smile on your
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and of course we are here to bring you what's happening currently. And currently happening is some interesting developments with the Bonaccord residents who are still in negotiations with the government over the land acquisition for the construction of the airport terminal. So our team is right now there on site because we have gotten reports that police are there trying to evict some of the residents who have not yet settled their negotiations. So there you can see on the screen, there's some images right now of police officers going into the residence of some of those persons there. I mean, it is an interesting situation. From what I've been able to understand, there has been a lot of work that's been going on in the background with the attorneys and the law teams representing these people. And like I said, these are the people who have not yet settled their negotiations. And according to the law, they should not be evicted as yet, not until negotiations are settled. Now, I'm not too sure. We're supposed to be hearing from the representative of the peace movement, Ms. Rhonda Hackett, who has been one of those persons advocating on behalf of the residents that are there. And I'm not too sure if we have her right now. But in the meantime, like I said, these are some images live right now in Bonaccord, where some of the residents, well, the residents who have not yet settled their negotiations for that land acquisition process, they are being, there are police there trying to evict them. And like I said, it's been an interesting situation. We've heard earlier up in the year, a similar situation happened where the road into Crampton Trace was blocked, and the Chief Secretary Farley Augustin had to intervene and remove the blockage, stating that, you know, these people still need access to their homes because, again, they have not yet settled their negotiations. So until those negotiations are settled, they cannot be evicted. So we're not too sure on whose instructions are the police is there, but these are just some of the news that are coming to hand, and I will be bringing to you some more information later on in our program. But in the meantime, let's get into our news in 90 seconds. So first up, the official launch of Tobago's Carnival is set for Wednesday, 17th August. According to an invitation sent to members of the media, the launch will be held at the Shore Park Multicultural Complex under the theme Ritual, Reveille, Release. The Tobago Carnival Committee recently came under heavy criticism for its failure to release information about the event to stakeholders. Carnival in Tobago will take place from October 28th to the 31st. In today's post-executive media briefing at 9:30 a.m., Chief Secretary Farley Augustin is expected to address some of the concerns about Tobago's Carnival. Now, into some health news, a new virus outbreak in China has captured the attention of the Ministry of Health. Speaking at a press conference on Wednesday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasaram said the COVID-19 pandemic pointed out the need to pay close attention to the development of new viruses, such as the novel Languia henipavirus. LAV, or as it's known, is a virus originated from animals but can also infect humans. It was found in 35 cases in the Shandong and Henan provinces in China who exhibited symptoms of fever, fatigue, and cough. Dr. Parashuram said the ministry is awaiting updates on the outbreak from the International Health Regulations Network on the way forward. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health reactivated 2 step-down facilities as hospitalized cases of COVID-19 steadily increased. There are 6,718 active COVID-19 cases in Trinidad and Tobago, with 184 hospitalized cases. Out of that number, Tobago currently has 160 active cases with 24 hospitalizations. According to the Minister of Health, Terence Dial, saying the recent uptick in cases would not spark changes to the public health regulations, but urge citizens to be responsible and use preventative measures in public. And we also had some information, as I reported earlier, there was some fishermen that were missing from Paltavia, and this was Mr. Alex Ashby and Mr. Terrell Wellington, but we received some information that they were found. Now, these fishermen went out yesterday and they were reported missing, but from the information that we received, they had encountered some engine problems, and some of the palliative care fishermen who launched a search party was able to locate them and bring them back home. So that's some good news there, having our fishermen come back home. All right. So now, I mean, as you heard in our top story, we were dealing with the Tobago Carnival. We just received some information yesterday. The media received an invitation that Tobago Carnival will be officially launched on Wednesday, next week Wednesday. So it's something to look forward to, and it's going to be under the theme Ritual, Revelry, and Release. Now, speaking to me this morning is Dr. Sean Ned, and he's the chairman of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. And just yesterday or on Monday, the PDP released a statement regarding Carnival. Now, Tobago Carnival has attracted a lot of conversation over the past few days. It's been around in the social media space. There's been a lot of comments, a lot of people, criticizing the lateness of information regarding Carnival and its details, especially from the stakeholders' point of view. So, Dr. Sean Ned, I just want to say good morning and welcome to the program. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Much thanks to be here. And I look forward to the discussion on Tobago and Carnival.
Great. So you came out in defense of the Tobago Carnival Committee, and one thing that you said is that there's a lot of work that's been happening on the ground to make sure we can have a good Carnival product in October. So I would just like you to just elaborate a little bit on that point.
Okay, so about, let's say it's August 9th, I would have made a few comments, and that was because I was noting the back and forth on social media regarding concerns. We saw Mr. Gypsy Peters made a large statement which was concerning. We also saw various members from Ms. Beverly Ramsey-Moore to other members in the public sphere. What I wanted to do is to sort of give a context to what was going on. The reason why we are here, and I have to become a little political on the thing, is because of the life support state that the tourism sector has been left in, and it has affected businesses and secondary businesses in a very negative way. Many of these businesses have shut down or are in the process of shutting down, and the mandate of the PDP has been to attempt to fix the tourism sector, and one great way to do that is to have a Tobago Carnival. Right? Tobago has, I don't know when was the last time we had a carnival event in Tobago, and it allows us to reinvigorate the sector. Now, the timing of having a Tobago Carnival I would have liked it to be a bit more, but we are in a situation of, I would say, a desperation. That's what we were left with. And so the secretaries would have put in play through the tourism secretary the Tobago Carnival along with the chief secretary. So it's very important that we have this event, and it's very important that we set a precedent going forward, that we have an event this year, and then towards what I was saying, to consistently improve upon that event for the years going forward. So a lot of the comments that we have been hearing should consider that. All right, and in so doing, we must allow the persons and the organizers to get this event together. I was also stating that there were concerns on the ability of the THA to actually pull off this event.
Yes.
Right, and it is important to account for the various stakeholders. Yes, that is true, but the event has a lifespan. It has only a couple months. And the team put together is under the THA and under the watchful eye of the secretary and the chief sec. And we must allow them the latitude to do their work. They have a plan. They needed time to release the information in due course. In fact, you would have already mentioned the chief said is going to give a speech on the matter, which speaks to that point. I will also quickly note, and in what I heard from Trinidad, is it almost feels as though that Tobago is not allowed to do things on its own.
And I just want to stop there. I'm going to get into that point a little bit. So now we had the chairman of the National Carnival Committee, Winston J. Peters, yesterday stating that he was not, as the NCC, they were not consulted at all. They are not involved with the hosting of Tobago's Carnival. But at the end of the day, Trinidad and Tobago is known for its carnival product, and Tobago would always be associated with whatever Trinidad is. You know, I mean, it's something that, you know, I know there's a little contention where that is concerned, and Tobago wants to have its own identity. However, because of that twin island nature that we are, we are associated with anything that happens in Trinidad. We're branded by anything that happens in Trinidad. And then he was making that point where, you know, Trinidad should have some sort of input or some sort of contribution to Tobago Carnival. And I just would like to get your perspective on that.
All right. So the statement made seems to suggest that the THA must consult with Trinidad on all matters.
Yes.
Remember that THA is its own entity and can control any of its events on its own, right? So that's to be clear. The product of Carnival has been done through Trinidad, but it's not Trinidad's only. You do have Trinidad and you have Tobago. Tobago must have an opportunity to think through what its Carnival is. It is not the same exact product that is Trinidad, right? Classically, the Tobago Carnival has sort of been what Mr. Peters has stated, which is we would have similar events. This was back in the 80s, I think up to 90s, when we used to have Carnival. And that sort of event is sort of a mirroring, but lesser so than what was in Trinidad. But we have an opportunity to reinvent the product unique to Tobago, right? And that requires some thought, it requires some time. And it's not going to happen in one shot. This is October right there. But what we would like to see from the population is an understanding and a coming together to understand what our goals are in all of this. We want to have an event that is going to be well attended, that we're going to have flights coming in, that we're going to have more tourists, we're going to increase the GDP of Tobago, right, and so to GDP of Trinidad and Tobago, and to improve the economics regarding the businesses in Tobago. So we want to get that done, and the next year improve on it even further and so on.
Of course, and like there's a debate among people as to, you know, what should the identity of Tobago Carnival be, because some people are saying, you know, Trinidad Carnival is known worldwide, and it is a success. And every other carnival in the Caribbean has the elements of that Trinidad Carnival to ensure that it's a success. Now, my question is to you is, do you agree that we should have some elements of that Trinidad Carnival that makes it a success? And if we should, how much of that should we have?
Well, that's not so easy to answer, right? Carnival, you know, it has its typical list of things. We are the country of the steel pan. We are the country with all the different types of costumes and all of that. So there's very little way to change that, right? I don't know how much less you can put on a costume, but the idea of the other things unique to Tobago should be considered in the approach in which Tobago will have. Once we figure that out, then we can have a better discussion with Trinidad in terms of, you know, their suggestions and all of that. But Tobago needs to figure out its own identity, much like in autonomy bill concept.
Of course.
We need to figure out our own identity and run things for ourselves. And this is an opportunity to showcase to the country the ability of Tobago to get certain things done.
Now, do you think that this is a situation, this is just another situation that speaks to the issue of Trinidad not understanding that Tobago needs to have its own identity?
So that's an overall question.
Yes.
We saw, again, so I'll come back to Mr. Peters, the way in which the language came across, it felt as though, again, that Tobago exists as only part of Trinidad. And so that reflects what you just said. It is unfortunate, but it demonstrates, at least in my mind, that Tobago has never seemingly demonstrated its own independent thought on various matters. You know, and again, a political statement, that's not on us. That's what we met. And we are trying to move through these muddy waters of what was left in terms of how the THA functions, and our mandate to make sure that Tobago stands out in its own unique way, so that when Trinidadians view Tobagonians, they can say, well, Tobago did this unique thing, Tobago did that unique thing, right? We don't want to always seem as the child that requires the parents' support, right?
Or permission.
Or permission, correct, right? And that is seemingly what is being continued. And it will take time for us to wean ourselves off of that as a country if we are to appreciate the adulthood of Tobago versus the adulthood of Trinidad, and not be kept in a stance. And this is for not only Carnival and tourism, but for every sector. This is how Tobago has been treated. That needs to come to a halt, and that requires in the end a level of mutual respect. That's where we are heading towards.
All right. Now, we had Miss Beverly Ramsey Moore being very vocal about, you know, her feelings towards the Tobago Carnival, or at least the planning of Tobago Carnival. And, you know, her concern was that the information was not being passed out. So as someone who is the president of Pan Trinbago, she had stakeholders in Trinidad reaching out to her, asking her what's going on. But she was not in a position to say, hey, this is what's happening, this is how you can get involved. Because naturally, you know, they would look to the leaders in the carnival for, you know, just advice or just that information. Now, I want to get from you your perspective onto how that information has been handled in terms of making sure the stakeholders, the key stakeholders, are really aware so that they can translate that information and get the necessary people on board, as well as the patrons, so that October's events can be a success.
Okay, so personally, I would have preferred to see, you know, in the public, more information out in a faster way. But as I said earlier, remember the timelines here are difficult, right? And I like to give this analogy, right? So we are trying to do this carnival in Tobago through a division of tourism that was left in a state, right? You need money, of course, to run such an event. You need the administrative capabilities. You need several things to start. A lot of these things were not properly in place. What you have to do, what was done, was to put together a team, right? Scramble together a team so that they can focus and get these things done. Now, you have stakeholders that are involved, and I agree with Ms. Beverly Ramsey Moore that you must account in some way for the stakeholders. I can't speak further to how that was done because I am not within the board that's responsible for it, right? But I am sure that the secretaries are aware of that, and we have approximately 2 months again. It's not a lot of time, but a plan has been hatched, right? And I do look forward to what the chief sec is going to speak on that specific matter. But it is very important that we hold to the idea of speaking with all the persons that are involved in this endeavor, because there's a lot of interest.
Yes.
And it cannot be ignored, right? So going forward, it is really up to that team. And again, if I'm going to look at the successes, because you have to look at measures of success, right? We have the teams coming out of the Division of Tourism in having a successful Bitter Cassava event and a successful heritage event. So we have a good precedent here to expect a good Tobago Carnival, right? Let's not behave as though everything is perfect, right? But out of the event, what we should see is increased flights, improvements to the businesses, right? You have, again, measures of success. They won't be perfect, but out of that, we wish to improve and improve and improve.
All right, and I also want to address the issue of, Carnival is 2 months away, but some people are saying, okay, we understand that it takes a lot of work to make this happen. This is a new product that Tobago is trying to produce, and there's a lot that needs to fall into place. There might not be enough time to really bring out that great product, or at least for it to be what it wants to be. Now, from what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that we're going to start with something, but it's going to grow and evolve into its own identity as the years go on. But some people are saying that why not, hold it back a little bit and have it next year, and then use this time to really plan a good enough event with enough consultations, collaboration with the various stakeholders, so that it is a success.
All right, that's okay. So that's a call of the THA executive. Again, I'll remind the state we are in. We have been given a state of Tobago that is really on life support. It is very, very bad. You have to find some way to reinvigorate. If we're going to wait another year, right, I don't know how many businesses we're going to lose in that time period, right? We need to take advantage of the fact that we are out of the COVID session, and again, pre-COVID it was already very bad. Post-COVID, if you've driven through Scarborough, you can note all of the businesses that were shutting down and have shut down.
Yes.
It's not getting any better, all right? And the common complaint is we don't have customers, we don't have the infusion of human capital that you need for commerce, that you need for the economy. And a Tobago Carnival is going to bring in a lot of people. Outside of the existence of a Tobago Carnival, I don't know what would be the reason. We'd have to find something else. But again, this is the event, right? So let's take it at what it is. Allow the team to make the necessary arrangements. Let's take the pluses from it. See if we can get those measures of success. More people coming in, more flights, right? Show or share to the international public that this is an event that is going on here, and that for next year, look forward, plan, be here, right? So that we have even greater numbers. And in the midst of all that, do things like a better phased out approach to having the event, to encourage the need for more rooms on the island to accommodate this huge amount of people that we expect, right? And then from there we should expect a flawless over the years event, yes, and perhaps collaboration with Trinidad in the mix.
And we certainly hope so. But just moving off the Carnival conversation a little bit, I can't have you here without asking you, what's going on with the PDP. Of course, you are the chairman of the PDP, and we've seen a lot of interesting things happening where the party has been making inroads into Trinidad and so on. Of course, in Tobago, you guys are at the helm of the THA. But what has the party itself been doing over the past few months? Because we have not really heard much from the party as a party.
So there's a lot of different parts to this. So there's the activities going on in Trinidad. So that's one. The political leader is spearheading that direction. We have the activities of the party in Tobago, right? And that is separate from the actions of the PDP inside of the THA itself, right? What we have from the party itself here in Tobago, that's a major focus, is to increase its administrative capabilities. We have moved out of the time of campaigning and electioneering and all of that stuff. And we have to be able to link with the communities. And for us to do that, we have to be consistently a presence within the communities. And, you know, I don't know if you would have noted, but we would have had various events, right, with the presence of assemblymen. This is for things like fundraising, but it allows the wider our action groups and our chairs and all of that to interact with the community more and more and to aid the community. And our goal going forward is to expand on that. And that is in a way parallel to what the THA would be doing. We also pressure the THA itself to stay within the mandate that was given to them by the PDP. So that's part of our job, and what we are seeing things like the Mandate Monday, and we expect to have another one coming out. The chief sec continues to showcase mandate items, that is of the party, right? And once we are hitting our mandate items, we are doing what the population asked us to do. That's why they would have, you know, went on the bandwagon of, let we fix this, right? So with doing that, you have to actually finish what you said, you know, start what you said and finish it. So that's that part. In terms of in Trinidad, the political leader is spearheading that aspect of things, and that is done in a separate way, right? And what we want to see from there is the PDP operating at a high level in the national scope, right? The party is a registered entity for Trinidad and Tobago. You don't register just in Tobago,
yes,
right? We've always made that known, all right? We've operated with the interest of Tobagonians because the party is made up of Tobagonians mostly, but the direction has always been for the benefit of Tobago, and we've always pushed that. But we have this aspect of we are part of Trinidad and Tobago, and the interests of Tobago doesn't only lie in Tobago. The decisions made for Tobago less in the central government as well, right? And it is important that we have representation in Trinidad to make sure that our interests are always taken care of, and no one better than the political leader himself to take on that role. So we expect much on that side as well.
All right, well, Dr. Sean Nadu, thank you so much for being on set with us this morning to give your perspective, the PDP's party perspective on what's been happening with Carnival and that sort of thing. So we thank you so much for being on set with us.
Thank you.
All right, and viewers, well, we have a lot more coming up for you after the break, and so you don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Moriah Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now, 333 4430. At Mamiah Lakai Home Services, we take cleaning to another level.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susolines, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Ones. We special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago.
And welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. And of course, earlier up in our program, we brought to you news of a situation that's developing in Bonaccord regarding those residents who have to be relocated to make way for the construction of the new airport terminal. Now, these residents that we are speaking about, these are the ones who have not settled their negotiations. Again, these residents have not settled their negotiations. They are being evicted. There are police on the scene right now as we speak, trying to evict residents that have not yet settled their negotiations. And again, this has been a long-standing problem, alongside an issue. Now, to speak to us, joining us live from location is area representative for Bonaccord, Mr. Joel Sampson. So, good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Sampson.
Good morning to you, Candice.
All right. Okay. I am not sure.
Good morning. You hearing me?
Okay, well, we're hearing you now.
All right.
Okay, so give me an idea what's happening on the scene right now.
All right. Well, we are here at Crumstain Trace, as we all know, where the airport relocation is taking place. Here we have personnel from land management and NIDCO, also with police officers, serving eviction notices to one of the residents. That's Cole Percy, better known as Stormy. So that's the situation here at the moment. They have been here probably from before 6 o'clock this morning, and the situation has been ongoing. It's not an easy situation. It's a bit heart-wrenching. It's not something that anyone would like to face. But we all know what is going on. We all know about what has been happening in this space for the past couple of years, and it continues to go on. These persons have not completed their negotiations and are being forced, bullied out of their homes just to facilitate this airport relocation. The persons have no problem with relocating, but the infrastructural problems and challenges at the two developments, that is the Shervan and the Cove development, have not been properly put in place. So you can't move persons from their home of comfort where they have been living for the past 20, 30 years and relocate them to somewhere that is not ready for living.
I know there are some legal concerns because these people should not be evicted until their negotiations are settled, essentially until they have been compensated and that sort of thing. So I would like you to tell me what is being told to these residents as to the reason why they have to leave.
All right. Well, as far as I've gathered, the person from land management just read the The document to the individual pertaining to the eviction also stating in it that the lands would have been acquired back in '96. But we all know when you acquire a piece of property and someone resides back on it for a period of 16 years or more, they can reapply for that property, and the persons here have documentation for the property, while the government has no documentation anywhere stating that they purchased or acquired these properties back in 1996. So that is where the problem lies. Persons have valuable documents, they have legal documents stating that they own the lands and they own the property. Persons here don't have a problem with relocating, as I said earlier, but things must be put in place, proper negotiations, and they must be given value for their lands. What is happening at the moment is very inhumane, and I don't support treatment like this. And the THA are going to stand behind these people 100%. As their area representative, I'm going to stand behind them 100%. I'm going to go into this fight with them as well.
Have you had any conversation with any of the government officials, whether it's the Minister of Finance, whether it's the MP for Tobago West, Ms. Champa Kajo? Have you had any conversation with any of these key people in the government regarding the situation this morning?
No, I haven't had any conversation with them as well. But from a divisional standpoint, we would have written NIDCO on 2 separate occasions asking to have communication and conversation with them, to which they have not replied or responded.
So what now? What's going on with these residents now? Like, what is their position? Will they have to leave right now? Or how long, what exactly did the eviction notice state in terms of when do they have to move their properties?
Well, I wasn't privy to see exactly what is in the document, but what they are stating that the persons have to move out of their homes today. And I don't know when you serve a notice on a day that persons have to move almost immediately. I know you are supposed to be given some time, but what they are stating that they served a notice on the 6th of July, which I was not privy to have a look at. But these are things that we are looking into. There are some things I would not share over the camera just for personal and safety reasons, but there are things we are trying to put in place to ensure that this nonsense is put on hold.
And what is the THA going to do right now, like in this moment where these residents are being told that they have to leave right now? What action are you guys taking other than trying to reach out to the relevant authorities?
Well, as I said in my last statement, there are certain things I would not reveal on camera for certain purposes, but just know that the THA are standing behind these people and they have our support. We are doing whatever we can from our point to ensure that they get time and they are not treated in such an inhumane manner. So we are doing what we can do and what we're supposed to do from our point.
All right, and from your standpoint, seeing this happening to some of the people in your area, how do you feel about it?
It's disheartening. It's a sad situation because it could have been me, it could have been you, it could have been anyone. Because you know what it is to be lying in your bed at 6 in the morning and then police come knocking on your door to evict you. It's not a nice situation. It's not something that you can smile about or laugh about. Or it's a situation that is melancholy. It's really sad. It's heart-wrenching. And it's not something that I would like to face or I would like anyone else within the space in Tobago to endure.
And if there's any message that you want to send to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the cabinet specifically, what would be that message?
Well, I would just want them to take a look at themselves, put themselves in the position of these people and ask themselves, would I like to be in this position? Would I like to be in a position of uncertainty? Would I like to be in a position where I don't know where tomorrow would be, where I would be, or where I would be sleeping tonight? I would like to ask the goodly Prime Minister also, as a Tobagonian, is this right? Is this fair treatment to your Tobagonians that you claim to love? So I would like them to take a look at the mirror and look at themselves and put themselves in these people positions and see how they would feel, how would they operate, how would they go on, how would life be for them after such a move.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Assemblyman, for Bonaccord. For Bonaccord Prom Point, Mr. Joel Notsi Sampson, for giving us an update on the ground of what's happening there. And in case you missed it, or in case you missed the earlier program, now we have police officers on scene at Cromson's Trace trying to evict one of the residents who have not yet settled their negotiations for the land acquisition process to make way for the construction of the airport terminal. So we have, like I said, we have that situation unfolding there, and we at Tobago Updates, of course, are going to continue bringing you updates on what's happening on the ground. So you want to stay connected with Tobago Updates, right? So we are going to now be heading towards a break, and we'll be right back after this with a lot more on the program.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported. Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
We special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago.
Alright, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. And like I said in our last segment, we had a conversation with the area rep for Canaan, for Bonaccord Crown Point in the form of Assemblyman Joel Sampson. Now, we are going to be connecting with Miss Rhonda Hackett. Of course, she is the chairman for the Peace Movement, the body that has been speaking for those Bonaccord residents who are going through this land acquisition process. Now, Miss Rhonda Hackett, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning. Pleasant morning to you.
Okay, so we're seeing police there trying to evict one of the residents. Now, I want to get a perspective from you as to, you know, how is it that this eviction notice can be served on someone who has not yet settled their negotiations?
All right, so this notice was sent out and the residents would have sought legal guidance regarding this operation, and this morning we are being told, although the matter is ongoing, that they have been given instruction by the court to come and execute this eviction. Now, we do know that this has been an ongoing matter and issue between the residents and this land acquisition process. The unfortunate fact of the matter is that even those who have left this area continue to struggle because the necessary infrastructure and the basic necessities to rebuild and relocate are not in place. Electricity, the sewer system, water, etc. And so people continue to struggle, and we are being told today that humanitarian rights are of no importance in Trinidad and Tobago. The law gives the government the authority to just override persons' interests, their well-being, their family, their livelihood, and to move in. I am being told by the sergeant in charge that they have the instruction to move in immediately and demolish these persons' structure. I am asking, where is the humanitarian interest and right in all of this? The THA has expressed their willingness to work along with the people because the necessary infrastructure that should be in place is not in place. And THA has sought to reach out to NITCO and the government, and they have not been cooperating as far as information. In spite of our willingness to work along with the THA to have all the necessary steps in place, we are being disrespected. There's total disregard, and we are being shown that as Tobagonians, our livelihood means nothing to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and so we are now being told that these individuals, their homes will be demolished today. Well, I am watching to see if the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the current government that be, is brutal, is barbaric and inhumane, and will execute this level of injustice because of the Land Acquisition Act that is barbaric. A government that is caring will put the necessary infrastructure in place and not treat people less than human, less than animal, in a manner that is disrespectful, in a manner that is crude and cold and barbaric. This is not how you treat with people.
Ms. Hackett, I know that the situation is also being handled through your lawyers, and that's part of, through the lawyers, that negotiation is ongoing. What are the lawyers, are you able to say what the lawyers are saying this morning in regards to what's happening right now?
Well, when I spoke with our attorney, the matter was placed before the court and it is ongoing, so there has been no settled agreement where the issue is concerned. And so I was informed by the officers who are here, as long as there is no settlement yet, they have the power to then proceed until then.
So if
they are operating on the instruction of the court.
So if this house is demolished today, then is that an opportunity to engage a lawsuit against the government for unlawful the destruction of a residence without the settling of negotiations?
Most definitely. I think this is beyond that. We are looking at a violation of human rights. We are looking at where, in terms of how you treat with people and the United Nations and what we have signed to as a country, how we are acting as partners within the United Nations of how you treat with citizens and their human rights. Our Constitution indicates that each person has a right to property, to be treated in a humane manner. And as such, this, although the Land Acquisition Act affords the government to act in a particular manner, the Constitution also gives us the right to be treated in a humane way and for our property to be given back. The said Land Acquisition Act indicates that if one's property is taken, then the same should be provided back, or equitable should be provided back in return. That is not being executed. That is not being executed, and even in terms of the negotiation process, there's no true negotiation that is taking place. When persons go in to settle negotiation, they are being told what will be given to them. You aren't experiencing any true negotiation and you are being given less than half of your valuation. This is not right. We are all Tobagonians. We are all humans. We have said we are willing to work along with the THA. The THA in turn has expressed that they are willing to work along with us. But we are not getting that equal cooperation from the central government and NITCO in return. And so, as a direct reflection of this, we are seeing what we are experiencing here today. A disrespect of human beings, treated less than a dog because a dog has a kennel to live in. And I am wondering, after these individuals and whoever has penned to sign such a note, if they sleep well at night, if they are happy in terms of how you treat with human beings and their family and their livelihood. This is wrong. This is not right. And I am calling on Almighty God to put a hand. Because better has been done, better can be done. For the Piaco International Airport, Orapoon's garden was rebuilt. The persons were resettled and then their lands were acquired. For the Debe Highway in Trinidad, squatters were given land and money and homes were rebuilt to them. Why is it Tobagonians are being treated less than dogs? This is a disrespect, and please bear in mind, precedent is being set. What happens here sets a trend as to what could continue to happen. We need to show love for humanity and not treat each other as animals. You can't just root people out of their homes with no proper place to go, come onto their property that they have owned all their lives and told them, I'm mashing down your place today. This is not right. This is wrong. I am calling on the powers that be to show a level of care and concern for humanity.
Okay, I want to thank you so much, Ms. Hackett, for giving us a on-the-ground update on what's been happening, and we are going to be continuing to follow this situation. So thank you again, Ms. Hackett, and viewers, continue to stay updated with Tobago updates. Now we're going to be continuing our conversation on set, and with me here is Mr. Leroy George, and he is a member of the Tobago Civil Net Society. And Mr. George, before we get into our conversation, you've just viewed what's happening there down at Bon Accord with these residents who are being told that they have to evict today, their homes are going to be destroyed today. As a member of the Civil Net, what are your perspective on what's happening?
I want to cry right now. That is the honest gospel truth. I want to cry right now because that is such a huge injustice that is taking place in Canaan. When I leave here, I'm going to go straight down there. I did not know this was going to happen. So if even physically you could have human beings there to show, well, yes, these people are being supported and we as Tobagonians are not going to tolerate this injustice, I would like to be a part of that if possible at all. What really makes me upset though is that if we as Tobagonians would understand that we are each other's brothers and sisters keepers, this wouldn't be possible. This wouldn't be possible what's happening right here because there is no justification for what is taking place. I wouldn't go into the details because I don't understand some of the details of why there is a conflict of opinions, right? But it's a clear-cut case whereby, as Joel Nutsi Sampson, the assemblyman for that area, stated, the people have their documentation stating that this property belongs to us. The government does not have such documentation, yet still they're being heavy-handed. And if I may say one last thing, Tobago's autonomy is somewhat important, and it shows that it's somewhat important because the police officers, they are on the central government payroll, not on the Tobago House of Assembly payroll. And that is why it is possible for central government to instill on Tobagonians this particular injustice without the support of the Tobago House of Assembly.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Now, moving on to, our original conversation of why you were here. And I mean, again, viewers, in case you just join in or you just tune in, right now police are on the ground trying to evict one of the residents that have not yet settled in negotiations for the land acquisition process to make way for the construction of the new airport terminal. However, now we are talking about Carnival,
yes,
and that's a conversation that has taken up the space recently, over the last few days, especially on social media and other mediums. Now, I want to get your perspective from the Tobago Civilnet Society. How do you feel about the Tobago Carnival and the way it's being handled right now?
Well, Tobago Civilnet is trying very hard to be optimistic about what is happening right now. There isn't a schedule published for the public, so persons do not know exactly what is going to happen on the end of October where Carnival is concerned. And whilst, yes, there is some time, 2 months and 2 weeks or something like that between now and then, right now at this point, persons are losing out on money. Tobago's GDP is being negatively affected by the slow progress of rolling out the schedule. That is one of the main things that we in Tobago Civilnet unanimously agree on is a problem. Because we have one member of Tobago Civilnet who was organizing a little tour for some elderly persons, etc. And so they say, okay, no problem. We put our money together, we make this happen. By the way, what are we going to be doing once we get to Tobago? And of course, since there is no answer for that today, then that situation is permanently cancelled, period. And I listened to Miss Marceline Ned when she was on Tobago Civilnet, I think about a day or two ago. And when I saw how many things are being derailed as a result of this slow progress, it's really a tragedy. And if I may say one more thing, I listened to the conversation between yourself and Dr. Ned. And yes, Tobago's autonomy is important. We see what's going on in Canaan, etc. Right? But let us also appreciate that one of the, and I think you are alluding to this, one of the stakeholders of Tobago's Carnival is Trinidad. Right? Trinidad and Tobago has a reputation for being one of the 2 best destinations for Carnival, period. Right? I only hear Brazil and Trinidad and Tobago when the argument of who is the GOAT of Carnival, the greatest of all time. Only Trinidad and Brazil. Right? So if our product is substandard, think about how that conversation takes place internationally. When somebody says, yeah, Trinidad and Tobago is the best place for Carnival, and somebody was like, no, I went to Tobago Carnival in October, Trinidad and Tobago Carnival is nowhere near the best, probably not even top 10 or something like that, right? Also, I would have seen a report, I think the report, I know the report came from the Ministry of National Security, right, on how many persons come to Trinidad and Tobago, right, for Carnival. And they would have estimated something just over $10,000 per person would have been spent in Trinidad and Tobago, adding to Trinidad and Tobago's gross domestic product. For those who don't know, gross domestic product is basically the sum value of all your goods and services, right? How much was added to that? And the numbers were extremely impressive, right? And we're talking about even after you take out how much we invest, profit only, Tobago would have made $4 million plus, right? From the 2,000 how much ever persons that came to Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival and then came specifically to Tobago for its Carnival. And so, you don't want to mess that up.
Yes.
And we are optimistic that there is some time. It's not like the Carnival is tomorrow. There is some time, but there are things we are accustomed to seeing. What's going to be the big song?
Right.
You know what's going to be the big tune, the big artist, so Tobago Carnival. We're not hearing any music on the radio, etc. We need to get going really quickly.
Now, there's a suggestion coming out that, I mean, we understand that it is a lot to put into place in time for October. There was a suggestion out there, like, why not hold it back for another year and then make sure that in October 2023, the product that we're able to put out is one that it's good enough for it to be that level of success that we want it to be.
Concerning that, right, whilst I'm here to speak as the Corporate Secretary of Tobago Civilnet, right, since that topic did not come up, I would not give a specific opinion on behalf of Tobago CivilNet on that. But what I will point out is that Tobago did not have Carnival this year when Trinidad had Carnival this year. And not only was the GDP of Tobago negatively affected by it, the GDP or the amount of money individuals who depend on Carnival within Tobago, and there's quite a few of them, would have been negatively affected by it. And so this needs to be a part of the conversation when deciding whether or not we're going to cancel, in order to make sure that the product, there is some consistency in the product, and there needs to be consistency in the quality of the product, right? Or whether we go forward and how it hang its swing.
All right, and then just one more question in regards to Tobago Carnival, and this is in relation to the identity of Carnival. Now, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of debate as to what this Carnival should look like. How much should there be, how much Trinidad input should there be in Tobago's Carnival? How much elements of that Carnival should there be? Because there are some people, for instance, like Mr. Winston Gypsy Peters, that says all around the Caribbean, all carnivals have some elements of that Trinidad model, which makes it a success. So what is the Tobago CivilNet's position on that?
Okay, so Tobago's autonomy is always important to Tobago CivilNet, right? Autonomy on all issues, including the Carnival, right? So as such, Trinidad or central government cannot dictate what happens here in Tobago with our Carnival. Whilst that is true, it is also true that Trinidad is an investor in Tobago and all things that happen in Tobago, right? When you look at how much money the Tobago House of Assembly generates, it's like 200 million in tax revenue, and another is embarrassingly small figure in non-tax revenue. It adds up to about 220 million at best, right? But our yearly income, or what the central government gives to us, is $2.3 billion, usually, give or take a couple $100 million. So they are an investor, and as such, show them the respect. Show them the respect by having a conversation with them. It's simply asking, how do you have such a good reputation? What can we emulate? And then whatever they say you could take or you could don't take, but to snub Trinidad altogether, to snub the greatest of all time altogether where Carnival is concerned, it is unwise. And it is important to understand that when the conversation about Tobago's autonomy comes up in Trinidad, when the conversation about how Tobago contributes to Trinidad and Tobago positively or negatively rather, happens in Trinidad, the quality of Tobago's Carnival will come up in the conversation, and we could damage our ability or our moral standing even, or perception. Carnival is tourism. Tourism is perception. Perception has weight in tourism. It's going to come up. So be wise and not otherwise is what we would say to the Tobago House of Assembly in general, and the committee or committees that are making this Carnival happen in particular.
All right, great. Well, Mr. George, we'll unfortunately have to leave it there because we are over time now. But I mean, this is a conversation that we will be continuing as the days go by. We are looking forward to the release of the launch of the Carnival next Wednesday, and you know what that would entail, and then perhaps then we can have the Tobago CivilNet come back with us on set to get more into those details, and then we can have a further conversation.
Definitely.
All right, now viewers, we're getting ready to wrap the show, but just before we go again, I just want to remind you of just some news that we brought to you. Breaking news happening in Bon Accord, where one of the residents who have not yet finished his negotiations for the land acquisition process to make way for the construction of the new airport terminal, they are facing eviction right now they will possibly have their properties demolished. So it's a developing situation, and I encourage you to continue supporting Tobago Updates and to stay locked in and updated with Tobago Updates for more information. And on that point, I want to make it clear that Tobago Updates is its own entity. It is in no way affiliated with Tobago Channel 5. Only us at Tobago Updates will be able to bring you that sort of live coverage that you saw earlier in our program. So please stay connected with us, and please understand that we are different entities, and our products are different. So, and we just want to again thank you for your support and your dedication to us. And we will see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful, safe, and productive day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.